Brawl news! YouTuber things. I try not to do this very often. But if you guys enjoy this episode here today or find these episodes of Brawl news or any of my other content fun or useful, be sure to subscribe to the channel. As you all already know, it's one of my priorities here on this channel to keep you guys up to date with update related news pre, post, and during. I'll always keep you guys in the loop. But we're starting things off here in today's video with some very interesting news in regards to this next update, which is quickly approaching. But if you guys remember back to this post that came out some time ago now, it literally gave the Brawl Talk date Easter egg here being February 25th, which is only 10 days away at the point that I'm recording this video. Time flies, man. So that's not this weekend, but next weekend, Saturday, which also means that around this time in typical Brawl Stars fashion, or at least the Brawl Stars dev team, we normally start getting really interesting Easter eggs that find their way into social media posts that not a whole lot of people pick up on until the actual update arrives, which is exactly one of the main topics of this video here today. We very well could have gotten a Easter egg of a new brawler around the corner or a significant skin. Taking a look at a tweet coming out 4 days ago to promote the Valentine's Day challenge here, your heart is only complete when you play with a good duo. Tag your perfect duo for the Complete Me challenge. Now, in my opinion, the photo coming with the tweet doesn't necessarily match up with the whole vibes of Valentine's Day. We actually have a return of Gus here in the Go Station theme. Whereas before that, most of the posts on the social media are within the Candyland environment, the environment that we are currently in. I mean, if you ask me, a much more fitting post would be maybe like a more joking one, or possibly like Rico and Piper here to celebrate Valentine's Day. But no, we have Gus here, which within Brawl Stars lore, he is by himself, a lost child here in the Go Station. But it gets even more interesting if you ask me if we take a look what's in this photo. Number one, the very first thing that my eyes drifted to is of course the rat here. The rat or the mouse is a reoccurring figure here when it comes to photos of Gus within his environment. He has literally appeared in like 5 or 6 different photos, but this time his eyes are green. Perhaps maybe some brainwashing or something going on here. One thing in particular that is reoccurring here with photos of Gus is there seems to be some sort of green hue, which in previous photos we've seen a green gas of some sort. Definitely just speculation here. I'm not sure if it's super important, but it's interesting nonetheless. We could be seeing some sort of brain control going on here with the mouse here, seeing that we've never seen one with green eyes until now. That could be important, but of course that is just speculation and theory crafting here. What I think is more important within this photo is what the mouse is looking at here and pointing to with his body. He's either looking at Gus here, right? Or he might be looking at what Gus is looking at in the photo as well. Once again, we're hit with that green hue, whatever it might be. It looks like it's catching the attention of Gus here and maybe the mouse. But on top of that, in the same vicinity, or arguably what Gus is looking at in general, based on the perspective here, is this interesting character hidden behind a block. We have an unidentified robot here hiding away behind the block. We see a somewhat square-shaped head, an antenna, and then a arm reaching around the block that resembles Sprout's hand quite a lot. So I think there are a few different potentials here. It's a little bit interesting when you start looking at it in different perspectives, right? Either Gus is looking at this robot that is in front of him, or Gus is looking at something else and the robot is behind him looking at all this going down and hiding, right? Which I think is the latter. Gus is puzzled and looking at something unidentified, and it's just kind of a coincidence and nice that in the crossfire of their gaze, maybe both of these guys, the mouse and Gus, we were able to notice the robot. Now, when it comes to this unidentified robot, we have a few different potentials here. Number one, of course, a lot of people speculating it could be a new brawler. It looks quite a bit different than any other robot that we have already here in Brawl Stars. But of course, the other potential, in my opinion, would be a Sprout skin, which a lot of people are speculating as well. Now, there are a few other things that I want to point out in this photo, but first, I want to talk about why Gus might be popping up in a Valentine's Day post when we're only 10 days away from the Brawl Brawl talk. I think with the obvious Easter egg photo that we just got done looking at here gives a really interesting potential that the newest brawler coming to Brawl Stars would fit into the Gus family, seeing that he is all by himself here. For example, taking a look at a tweet here coming out in November that we should be somewhat familiar with in past Brawl News episodes, this photo famous for giving us an Easter egg way in advance for the Candyland update coming around the corner because all of the different pieces of candy. But the context of the photo, the tweet itself saying, "Help Gus summon a friend." How do you imagine Gus's trio? More balloons, ghosts, lost kids, monsters. Today is also 11/11. Get the 11/11 spray and unlock offers with 40% off. So once again, a Gus photo here popping out outside of the context of the tweet itself. And of course, talking about what type of brawler would you imagine fitting into the Gus trio here, kind of alluding to it being on the minds of the Brawl Stars dev team and something that is probably right around the corner if they're talking about it here. That being said, whether or not this unidentified robot is a new brawler around the corner or just a Sprout skin here, I think just in general, the sole fact that we're getting obvious Easter eggs for the next update here in this photo within Gus's environment, it makes a lot of sense that the newest brawler would be fitting into the Gus trio. I mean, dude, we need someone to fit into the Gus trio. We literally had a photo dedicated to Gus trying to summon a friend because he's so lonely. He's a lost child. But on top of that, there are a few other things that I want to point out that others also took notice of. One thing in particular is on this video camera here, we have a green mouse, it appears, something like a sticker. I also saw some people thinking that it might be a horse, which I don't know if that's the case. But when it comes to obvious Easter egg photos such as this, every foreign detail, things that we can't put our finger on, is usually very important. Hard to tell what its significance is at this point, but I'm sure we will know here with days to come. And then the final thing, it might be a little bit of a stretch, but we do have a few different things here littered on the ground. We've got some coins here, we have a ticket, it appears, and then a few different screws laying on the ground. I'm not sure if this is an important connection here, but I thought it was interesting enough to share with all of you guys. My mind initially went back to this photo coming out before the Ghost Station update arrived in the game, and we had different stations called Cogsworth, Cogstead, with a emphasis of course on cog, basically like cogs and screws and bolts. Again, I don't know if it's super significant, but it's interesting enough that it's popping up here. 2 stations with cog to start. But what I think might be the most important takeaway of the screws on the ground is it very well could be giving us an idea of what the new brawler could be. Most of the time in these videos, I pass along what people are talking about inside of the community and maybe add a few of my ideas into the mix. Where I'm sitting at right now here personally when it comes to this robot in the lower left hand corner is I'm about 90% sure that if it is something important, it's probably going to be a skin. Rarely do we ever get a sneak peek of the brawler 10 days in advance, but where our attention should be if we're trying to figure out what a brawler might be fitting into the Gus trio if it is going to happen in the next update is these interesting objects here, such as the screws. I've been seeing a lot of theories popping up because of the screws here, as well as a robot potential brawler or skin, that the second brawler fitting into the Gus trio very well could be a robotic brawler. I think the screws chilling here on the ground is very much so what we've seen in the past from Brawl Stars when they're giving Easter eggs about brawlers. Most of the time it's just itty bitty details which we later find out after the update comes out that it was a significant sneak peek of the brawler. I'm reminded of a perfect example of this. We had a ton of Easter eggs showcasing things with the new brawlers right around the corner, such as the bear trap, knuckle busters, whatever you want to call them. And for this photo, advertising the really difficult challenge that came out at the time, we once again saw the knuckle busters messing around with the mouse robot. And on top of that, we had Gus's balloon here, literally sneak peeking elements of both of the brawlers coming out in the very next update. So most of the time, we don't see elements like this this of a new brawler, but we do see things like this, maybe alluding to elements of a brawler right around the corner. And just speculating here, I think it makes a ton of sense for a robot brawler to fit into the Gus trio. Like I said before, almost in every single photo with Gus present, there is an ominous green gas going on in the ghost station. Seeing that Gus is a ghost and he's dead, of course, he's not going to be susceptible to any brainwashing going on here, much like I think this rat is having done to him. So I'm assuming a robot wouldn't be brainwashed either here, being able to help Gus out and actually live in the ghost station. Also, it might be an interesting explanation for this detail up here. I'm not sure what the green mouse has to do with anything here, but seeing that it's stuck to a video camera, it could be giving the video camera itself the importance within the photo, maybe an element of the new brawler as well. And within several of the many Gus photos that we've had in the past, there have been video cameras present as well. Definitely just a stretch and a speculation on my part, but of course it's fun to try to come to reasonable conclusions when trying to predict what the brawler might be here in the next update. Where I'm sitting right now, I'm pretty dang confident in the fact that the next brawler would be fitting into the Gus trio here in this next update. What that has to do with the theme, I'm not quite sure, but seeing that a very significant anniversary is in April here, a couple months away, being Star Park related things, WKBRL being on April 19th, and just a metric crap ton of significant stuff happening with Star Park lore in the month of April, it makes a lot of sense to introduce a brawler and a theme that would fit into the Ghost Station or the vibe of Ghost Station, seeing that it is a little bit more deeply rooted in lore and potential Star Park related things. So of course, you guys will have to let me know what you're thinking about all the interesting stuff here. We'll have to wait and see how this next update shapes up with the new brawler and the theme itself. But there you have it, everyone. That's just about it here for this episode of Brawl News. Hopefully you all found it interesting, enjoyable, or anything along those lines. Very interesting stuff right around the corner. Whether this next update is going to be introducing a brawler within the Gus trio, we'll just have to wait and see. Whether it is, whether it's not, I'm sure it's going to be exciting here to find out in 10 short days. Make sure to stay tuned to the channel. I'll have everything you need to know about info here with the next update once I get anything. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a phenomenal rest of your day. Keep having fun with Brawl Stars, and we'll see you all in the next one. Adios and take care.